Price discrimination. Charging consumers different prices because the manufacturer of a product has different costs is not price discrimination. Price discrimination is charging different prices based on the value that different customers put onto the product. Price discrimination is defined as a business charging different consumers different prices for the same product. For example, passengers on a flight from Heathrow to Rome. They may well have paid different prices for the same flight. The question is, why should an airline want to sell seats on the same flight at different prices? And the answer is, it's more profitable. Firms can claim some of the consumer surplus and improve their profit maximisation by doing so. Looking back at the theory of consumer surplus, this table shows the diminishing marginal utility from £4 for the first cup of coffee to £1 for the 10th. If the consumer values the first cup at £4 and values an additional second cup at £3, the marginal utility is £3, but the total utility for the 2 cups is £7. If the market price is £1, then the consumer surplus is £3 on the first cup and £2 on the second cup, a total consumer surplus of £5 on the 2 cups of coffee. Remember the definition of consumer surplus: the difference that a consumer would be willing to pay, which is the value of the total utility, in this case £7, and what they do pay, in this case £2. So the consumer surplus for this example is £5. If the consumer was to buy 10 cups of coffee in a week, they would spend £10. However, their total utility for 10 cups is £19. So their consumer surplus on weekly consumption is £9. If the coffee shop could sell each cup separately, it would sell the first cup for £4, the second cup for £3, and so on, until the 10th at £1. By doing this, it would have a revenue of £19, as opposed to 10 cups at £1 each, giving it a revenue of £10. If the firm can get a revenue of £19, it would have captured the consumer surplus. Price discrimination aims to capture this £9. It aims to capture the consumer surplus by selling each unit separately. Achieving this is difficult, however. If we look back at the airline example, if the airline sells all of its 200 seats on a flight to Rome at £100, the total revenue would be £20,000, and the consumer surplus would look like this. This is the situation without any price discrimination. To gain more of the consumer surplus, the airline needs to sell seats at individual prices. If the airline could sell at 2 different prices of £100 and £200 per ticket, the revenue would be calculated as 100 tickets times £100 equals £10,000, plus 100 tickets times £200 equals £20,000. The total revenue would be increased to £30,000. The consumer surplus would be falling, the producer surplus would be increasing. The consumer surplus diagram would now look like this. If the airline could sell at 3 different prices of £100, £200 and £300 per ticket, the revenue would be 66 tickets multiplied by £100 equals 6,600, 67 tickets multiplied by £200 equals 13,400, and 67 tickets multiplied by £300 equals £20,100. The total revenue would be £40,100. The consumer surplus diagram would now look like this. In reality, these higher prices are often charged the nearer the time comes to the flight departure. They are often aimed at busy businessmen and women who suddenly need to be somewhere for a last-minute business meeting. The fact that the business is paying and that the business people have to be at the meeting makes their price elasticity very inelastic, and they pay the higher price for a ticket. But the addition of a last-minute passenger does not add a great deal to the marginal cost of flying the aeroplane with either, say, 100 or 101 passengers. So this is clearly price discrimination, as the additional price does not reflect the additional cost to the airline. The market conditions that allow price discrimination to take place are: 1. Firms must have sufficient market power. The firm needs to be a price maker, for example, a monopoly. 2. Firms need to be able to identify the different groups of customers and their price elasticity of demand. For example, the day before the flight takes off, the airline needs to identify potential passengers with an inelastic price elasticity of demand. But identifying those passengers needs sophisticated market intelligence gathering, probably using technology to be able to do it. Number 3, firms need to prevent reselling of tickets that they have previously sold. An airline would not want a customer that booked the flight 6 months ago at a cheaper price to resell that ticket to the businessman at a high price. If anybody is going to sell an expensive ticket to the businessman, it is going to be the airline. So by restricting the ability to resell tickets through techniques such as identity and passport restrictions, or limiting the number of seats that are released for sale in the period of months before the flight, the airline can prevent the reselling of tickets. First-degree price discrimination. Charging different prices for individual units purchased. This involves the firm attempting to establish each customer's willingness to pay. An example of this can be seen in coffee shops. A coffee shop might advertise the cost of a cup of coffee for, say, £2.50. But all potential customers seeing this price will have different willingness to pay, so the coffee shop needs to leave it up to the individual customer to set their own price, which is their willingness to pay. They do this by firstly offering several sizes of cup of coffee: small, medium and large, and each one has a different price. Next, they might offer a special blend of coffee, or offer a coffee blend of the month. These different blends involve the customer paying more than the standard blend that is on offer. And finally, the coffee shop might offer a special flavour to go into your coffee, an almond flavour. Again, it's an additional payment depending on your willingness to pay. So now we find that the coffee was advertised at £2.50, but by buying a large cup with the special blend and a shot of almond syrup, the customer has indicated that their willingness to pay is much more like £4.50 than £2.50. Second degree price discrimination. This involves charging different prices depending upon the choices of the customer. For example, if customers choose to buy in bulk, they might get an additional discount. Secondly, customers shopping at different times of the day may be charged different prices. Some customers might be offered lower prices if they collect coupons to qualify. This is known as the hurdle method of separating buyers with a low willingness to pay from those who are happy to pay a premium price. They'll pay a premium price often to be the first to use the product. To take advantage of a lower price, the consumer must be prepared to overcome or jump over hurdles of some kind, which act as an inconvenience. Third degree price discrimination. Charging different prices to groups of consumers segmented by price elasticity of demand, depending on age, income and sex. For example, when companies price products and services differently based on the unique demographics of its customer base, such as students, key workers or seniors, firms understand the broad principles of the groups in relation to their price elasticity of demand and cater to those needs. Theatre tickets for an afternoon matinee performance may be aimed at seniors who may not be willing and able to pay the higher price for an evening ticket. Finding the information needed by firms is becoming easier due to the growth of e-commerce and the information gathering technologies of things like cookies. Businesses have the ability to gather information contained in previous online shopping history to enable them to take advantage of many of the techniques in second and third degree price discrimination.